Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at weather for the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, this will be taking us towards around the 21st of September, so getting up towards the autumn equinox. The equinox is on the 23rd, and of course what happens in the autumn equinox is that the sun leaves the northern hemisphere, goes back into the southern hemisphere. On the equinox itself, the sun is on the equator, so days and nights are equally in length. When the sun goes into the southern hemisphere, then nights become longer than days, and the northern hemisphere, particularly the northern latitudes, rapidly start cooling down, and that inevitably brings along autumn and eventually winter. So we're going well on in towards the autumn, really, with this update, certainly up towards the sun leaving the northern hemisphere. There's no real sign of autumn setting in just yet. Perhaps August was mid-autumnal, but no real sign of proper autumn arriving just yet. Although I think we could turn a little bit more unsettled as we get through towards the second half of next week. There's still that trend in the models that things are going to start to break down a bit as we get through to the latter stages of next week. But even then, the temperature's probably holding up quite well. Now, before I get on with the video update, I just want to mention the ads. There's video ads on my pages at GavsWebBiz.com. Hit play on video ad. You'll be supporting GavsWebBiz.com. Thanks very much for doing that. So let's just start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts. We've got the ECM WF, of course, over on the left. The GFS is on the right of your screen as you're looking at it. So ECM there, GFS just there. Blue colours extrapolating to low pressure. Orange and red extrapolating to high pressure. So we see even at 8 to 10 days time, we've still got this very large ridge sitting to the north and the northeast of the British Isles, just there on both the ECMWF and on the GFS as well. They've both got that large area of above average heights, being area of high pressure, sitting just to the east and the north and the northeast of the country. Correspondingly, we've got this trough of below average heights low pressure sitting down to the southwest as a cut-off feature, and it's really this idea still of how much ground this ridge up here is prepared to give to allow this trough, this area below average heights, to start to push in off the Atlantic. It looks as though it is going to allow that to some degree, but the question is still how generalised this breakdown could be, how much of an influence this area of below average heights just here is actually going to have. Notice as well there's this cold trough to the north of the states. Once again, that's going to bring another cold shot. It is bringing another cold shot to many parts of the northern eastern United States just at the moment. We remain under the influence of that warm ridge. So the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles show that we're going to be well above average with the temperatures for the foreseeable future. Red line here is the 30-year average. We're well above that right now. We're staying above average into the second half of the month. There is a trend downwards as we get through from around the 21st, 22nd on. We do begin to trend down a little bit towards the 30-year average, but even then the ensemble mean, which is white line just here, generally stays a little bit above average, but certainly up to the middle of the month and beyond the middle of the month. This 15th of September just here, 20th of September is around here. Up to then, we're staying well above average. But notice rainfall spikes are coming back, though, with quite a bit of conviction now. So we get to the 15th of September, I say, which is here, and it's mainly dry, no real rainfall to speak of. From around the 17th, 18th onwards, that's when the precipitation spikes start to come back. And on the face of it, looks as though we're in for quite a wet spell, actually, as we go through the final sort of week to 10 days of September. A lot of precipitation spikes in there. Not massive spikes, so perhaps not looking up to a torrential burst of rain, but I think showery sort of conditions gradually increasing from the south and west would be my suspicion about where that is going. The temperature anomaly for the coming week is going to be above average, so from the 11th to the 19th of September in those red colours, as is virtually the whole of Europe. But compare and contrast that with the United States, where admittedly in the west of the states it's quite warm, but for many central and eastern part of the states it is cold, really cold actually, up in the northeast of the United States. Very unusually cold there. I think they'll be having some early frost and maybe even in upland areas some early snow. The precipitation anomaly for the coming week for the British Isles are going to be generally on the drier side of average, although notice down in the south and the southwest it's beginning to trend more towards the average, sort of average anomaly. The driest conditions actually being forecast to be towards the north of the country. As that high pressure is beginning to just recede a little bit and start to allow somewhat more showery conditions to move up from the south and the southwest. So here's the GFS chart for Wednesday next week. We've got high pressure, of course, up to the north. That's the blocking feature around Scandinavia. It's also stretching it out towards Iceland, and maybe even reaching up towards Greenland a little bit. This is the cut-off low off the coast of northern Spain that's trying to come up from the south, and it's just how much ground this ridge gives to allow this low to come up. We keep the low pressure down to the southwest through into Thursday, the 18th, a week away. The ridge again is up to the north and northeast. This will be a really good snowmaker, by the way, if it was winter, of course, because this high pressure up over Scandinavia and down into the north country will be bringing in much, much colder air of the continent, which would be pretty much frozen by now. So it's a good job it's not winter, but as it is, it's bringing up warm air actually, this trough. I think probably going to push temperatures up a little bit next week, making it 25 degrees, 77 Fahrenheit. The high pressure is still up to the northeast over Scandinavia on Friday the 19th, but low pressure down to the southwest. So it's battle commence really, with showery bands trying to push up from the southwest. This high pressure trying desperately to hold that low pressure off. Let's get through to Sunday the 21st. Well, shallow sort of trough over the country, but still really the idea that the ridge is up there to the north and the northeast. This is the remains of an ex-tropical storm, and that, if that was to come through, that could really sort of shake up the weather and break things down properly. As it is, it looks as though it's going to stall somewhere around the Azores, but we've got to keep an eye on that. But that's sort of a showery chart, not desperately wet, but I think there'll be heavy showers, thunderstorms maybe breaking out of that, but it is still pretty warm. There's no sort of cold source of air. That's all well to the north over Greenland and Iceland, to the north of Scandinavia. Until that starts to push southwards, temperatures will be staying up. This will be ECMWF for the middle of next week. High pressure up to the northeast, low pressure down to the southwest. As we run through the second half of next week, that low pressure gradually pushes further northwards as the high pressure begins to slip away, but it's ever such a slow and painful process. And then finally, as we get through to day 10, which is Sunday the 21st, well, maybe signs then that the high pressure really is breaking down. Some of it going up towards Greenland, beginning to perhaps into northern blocking, some of it beginning to slip away towards the Black Sea, and these areas of low pressure now out in the Atlantic and over the British Isles are beginning to show signs of properly moving in and properly starting to break down the pattern. So the ECMWF isn't far from a real breakdown of the high pressure by day 10. And finally, the GEM, the Canadian model, the high pressure up to the northeast in a week's time, the low pressure down to the southwest, trying to throw up bands of showery rain. As we get through to day 10, Sunday the 21st of September, again the high pressure probably, if anything, is showing signs of breaking down, beginning to allow these areas of low pressure to have more of an influence from the south. There's that ex-tropical storm or ex-hurricane in the Atlantic stalling somewhere around the Azores. We need to watch where that's going. It looks like it's going to stall there, but if it was to find a way through this area of high pressure, then that would have the potential to really start to fundamentally break down the pattern. So it's still a difficult one to call really, this, because the models are still there with this idea that very slowly the high pressure next week will be breaking down. Not going to be a quick process, it'll be a gradual process, slowly turning more unsettled with bands of showers, maybe even thundery showers at times, moving up from the south and the southwest. But quite how that happens, and quite how sort of widespread this breakdown is, still very much open to question. So we're just going to have to wait and see a bit longer. I think we are firming up on the idea, but certainly for England, Wales and Ireland, we're going to start to spread up some showers from the south-southwest. But just how extensive this eventually becomes, let's wait for a few more runs before we decide. But whatever happens, it looks like next week will be another warm week. So September looking odds on to be a pretty warm month, to be honest. We'll be doing JMA Friday tomorrow, have a look at the month ahead. Probably also have a look at some charts from CFS model as well. I hope that video interesting. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.